Welcome to the BriteVibe podcast. At BriteVibe, we believe everyone deserves to be happy. But in today's world, everywhere you turn, there is division and negativity. At BriteVibe, we have created a global movement to bring 8 million people together who are inspired to live bright, live bold, and share bright vibes. Alone, it can be hard to change, but together we can change the world. Welcome to the BriteVibe podcast. All right, Nate Webb, welcome to the BriteVibe podcast. So happy to have you on today.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm pumped, man.
Good. I am as well. This is a different subject for us on the BriteVibe podcast. Usually we talk business, we talk personal development, we talk leadership, entrepreneurship a lot. And today we're going to take a little different slant because something I think is extremely important and something that it has been on my mind as my children get older. We're going to talk about kind of bullying. You specialize in helping parents and kids navigate bullying, and not just bullying like physical, but also social media, electronic, right? That's you're right, because you work in schools, you speak with schools, you speak with parents.
Oh, yeah.
You have a foundation that you founded or supported or support SaveTheKids.org.
Yeah. So I partnered with Save the Kids
Got
at the
it.
start of 2021. It's a nonprofit that I profit with. But yeah, their founder, Colin Karchner, he was one of my old mentor. And he died back in October of 2020.
Oh,
And so after he died, I kind of, picked up the mantle a little bit and tried to continue with the speaking and whatnot. And so yeah, but Save the Kids is the nonprofit that I partner with.
okay. So kind of why is it a passion and purpose? So let's just talk a little bit about your background.
Absolutely. So growing up, I endured a lot of bullying growing up. And it wasn't just like I don't know. It's not just like you're, getting made fun of type of bullying. In third grade, like we're talking like as young as third grade. Before then, like when I first got glasses, when I first started getting bullied, and I got glasses in kindergarten because it made me look different and kids say mean things. And honestly, that's pretty normal. It's pretty normal to get bullied in some way, shape, or form.
Right.
It's not normal for it to continue to escalate. So between the ages of 6 to 16, starting in third grade, got pushed off the monkey bars because quote unquote kids with glasses are freaks and can't play here. In fifth grade,
With glasses?
yeah,
With
it's 'cause I had
glasses?
Yeah.
That was the discriminatory thing.
Yeah,
Focal point was
I was
glasses.
I was literally like I was about to go down the big kid slide in third grade because in our playground you can go down the big slide.
Yeah.
Um,
We had a big
and
slide, no rails, just got climbed to the top. I mean,
right,
no safety
because
features
there's
on
two
that
separate
thing.
playgrounds, and once you hit third grade, you were in the big kid playground. The
Oh,
third through
gotcha.
fifth graders were different from the K through second.
Gotcha.
Um, and I was about to go down the big slide, and right before I was about to go down the big slide, out of nowhere, these 2 feet just kicked me right in the chest. I like free fall all the way
Ooh.
down, landed
Aye.
flat on my back, and there's this fifth grade girl standing at the top of the slide just saying, "Glasses freak can't play here."
Oh
I was like,
my.
What on earth? Okay, well, you're crazy, and I'm just gonna
Right.
go over the swing set because, ma'am, you need to take your Percocet or something." Um, and so, and then anyway, fifth grade comes along, and they're about to do a kickball tournament, and I didn't get picked last. I didn't get picked. They
Oh,
refused to
wow.
play until I went inside. They're like, "No, we're not playing until you go inside. You can't play here, dude."
Whoa.
I was like, "Okay," I was mad about that, and so I go inside, and I'm mad, and when kids are mad and people are mad in general, they kind of flop in their seat like a sack of potatoes, and when I flopped in my seat, one of my classmates, that'd be real funny, he held a pen right underneath my seat,
Oh my
and
God.
so I got about 2.5 inches of pen in my left buttocks.
Aye.
That was fun to try and take out.
Uh,
So that didn't feel great to start off, for elementary school. Then once I get into sixth grade, I was in a play, and during play practice in the middle of the day, I had worn my scout uniform to school because I had scouts right after school. My mom's like, "I'm not picking you up going back and forth. Change it to school or just
Right.
wear it to school, and I'm going to take you straight there." And so I was in my scout uniform, and 4 eighth graders came up to me. Two of them grabbed my arms, two of them grabbed my legs, and they tossed me in the trash can. Right in the middle of daylight, right in the middle of like right in front of a teacher.
Mm.
And then in eighth grade, I was like, "Hey, what am I gonna do? How am I gonna like get these people to leave me alone?" And I had the bright idea I should do the activities that these kids do. If I like become part of their world, they're gonna accept me. And so I decided to play football.
Oh gosh.
And,
Yeah,
yeah, I was
it
like,
did that.
let's do this."
Right.
And I was a bigger guy,
Uh-huh.
and so I played football and very, very first practice, I kid you not, we're stretching, I'm not paying attention, you know, and one of my teammates comes up from behind me and kicks me in the groin from right behind me. And
Oh.
so I fall to the ground and a couple of his buddies, just kinda lay on my arms, so that 3 other dudes can take turns kicking me.
Oh.
Um, and at this point, I was like, "What did I do?" All I can do is just cry and scream, "I'm sorry, I'm sorry. What did
Mm,
I do?
mm.
I'm sorry.
Right.
Please stop. I'm sorry." Um, and then it all kinda came to a climax ninth grade year. Similar thing happened. I got thrown in the dumpster. Um, but that wasn't the big kicker. The big kicker was at the end of my ninth grade year, Facebook's becoming more and more popular.
Mhm.
And I got 15 messages in one day on Messenger, 2 or 3 messages an hour from different people, but it all said the same thing: kill yourself.
Oh my
Um,
god.
and I got that 15 times in one day. And so, that was kind of a breaking point for me where I was starting to maybe believe, "Oh, maybe my life's not worth it?"
Mhm.
And fortunately, that's not where my story ended.
Right.
Thankfully, I had, loving parents who helped kinda pick me up out of that pit that I was in. They weren't just standing there, they were trying to talk to admin and parents and stuff, but they didn't really know how to deal with bullies back then.
Mhm.
And anything that the school would do, slap them on the wrist, suspend them, whatever it might be, they would just come back with a vengeance. So I was
Mhm.
like, "Just don't do anything, like, I'll just
Right.
survive."
Yeah.
But after the incident where, people messaged me on Facebook telling me to go kill myself, I remember just being downstairs in my room crying, and my dad comes downstairs and sits on the bed, and he asked me a question that changed my life forever, and all I said was, "Hey, Nate, do you know who you are?"
Mm.
And I was like, "Dad, I think I know who I am. If you don't know who I am, we need to talk about nursing home options right now because you're getting kinda old." He's like, "No, it sounds like you're letting other people define you for who you are. People
Mm,
say, you're dumb, you believe them. People say you're worthless, you believe them. And you're being the type of person that other people are saying you are."
mm,
And it took me a little bit of thinking, but I realized that I had become someone who I wasn't proud of, doing things that I didn't even like,
mhm,
impressing a group of people I didn't care about
mhm,
just to get acceptance from these, 10 worst people in my life. And so that kinda started my journey, of, self-acceptance and all that, and I didn't think much about it once I got out of it. Once I was confident, once I'd gotten past it, once that everything I didn't think much about it until later on in my adult life when I was getting ready to go into graduate school, get my master's in school counseling, and I noticed a lot of these kids were going through the same thing I was going through. They're
mhm.
struggling with a lot of the same thought processes I was. And so I made a little Instagram called Bullies Be Gone, cute little Instagram share, just, tips and tricks, mindsets, tools, things like that to help people get past their bullies because it's my belief that there's always going to be haters in your life. A lot of people who speak on bullying, they're like, they talk about punishing the bullies and all this other stuff. I'm like, guys, we can't focus on the negative people because we can't make them go away. We
Right.
can't control anything they do, but
Right.
we can control us, and
Mhm,
we can mitigate and lessen how much we are affected by that. And so, that was about, I don't know, 2018 when I first started the Instagram and started speaking in schools, and then, and it was fun and whatnot, and it was
mhm,
it was honestly, to start, it was purely selfish. I was
mhm,
having fun, it was
mhm,
for me, and I didn't think much about it until, I had one of my first paid gigs, at a junior high here in Utah, and, after the assembly, this tiny little 11-year-old girl, little 6th grader comes up to me and says, "Did you mean what you said?" And I was like, "What did I say?" Like, I was
mhm.
actually really nervous. I was like, "What thing did I say? Like, be
Right.
specific."
Right.
Um, and she's like, "Where you said that everyone deserves to be happy." I was like, "Of course I meant that." And she just kinda sniffled and said, "No one's told me that before." And then just gave me a hug and cried in my chest. And in that moment, I was like, "You know what?
Wow.
This is what I have to do for the rest of my working life."
Mhm,
Kids need to know that they're worth it, and
mhm,
they, help them get out of that. So that's kind of the journey of mine,
mhm.
how, went from, I don't know, passion project or selfish
Right.
selfish project to passion project to, trying to serve every kid that I possibly can.
Yeah, and I talk about it, quite a bit or bring light to it on the show that typically people that come on this podcast specifically, they had something usually in their childhood that was a major trauma. And then that major trauma, instead of turning to alcohol, well, and some of them did turn to alcohol for periods of time or drugs or whatever, but they eventually use that trauma as rocket fuel to help others, right?
Mhm.
Whether it's they speak or they wrote a book or books or they have a vocation or a not for profit. But I find so often that the pain that we experience in our younger years we then use if we truly lean into purpose, I guess, we use that as rocket fuel to help influence and help others that either experience at least similar feelings, maybe not the
Mhm.
similar thing, right? I mean, if you suffered in a way and I suffered in a way, we don't necessarily have the same things that we experience, but we still suffered, right? We know
Right.
suffering, we know fear, we know
Right.
anxiousness, we know self-doubt, we know these things because it was part of our experience. And it's like some people it crushes and some people it actually inspires. And it's always interesting to me. Um, there's fewer people I think that it inspires, honestly.
Right. Well, you have a choice when you face trauma. You can
Hmm.
become better or you can become bitter.
Right.
And, a large population become bitter. And
Hmm.
that's where you have, I mean, they continue the cycle of bullying. That's
Right.
where you have your school shootings. That's where you
Hmm.
have, those very sad, tragic events. Those people that choose to become better, though, those are the people that try to use that trauma to turn it around and turn it into kindness.
Right. Yep.
And that's where we're trying to head there.
Yeah, totally. Today, we're dealing with the challenges of this trauma that's still happening. So, what's happening? And then the second part of that is we'll talk about maybe ways to navigate it.
The best way to not get cyberbullied,
Hmm.
and this is for all you parents who have middle schoolers, who have high schoolers, who have like teens and tweens. I'm talking
Right.
like your 11 to 16-year-olds. The best way to not be cyberbullied, don't be on the cyber.
Right. Yep.
100% best way to not be cyberbullied. A big reason why kids struggle with cyberbullying is because we have given them the ability to take their bully home with them in their back
Mm,
pocket.
got it.
I got bullied a lot, and, like, the thing that happened in my ninth grade year with the whole, the kill yourself on Facebook,
Mhm,
that
mhm.
was rough because of the ability for me to take my bullies home with me in my back pocket in the form of an iPod Touch. It wasn't even a cell phone yet, it was just over Wi-Fi.
Right.
But, like, right now with smartphones and just
Mhm,
everything, kids take their bullies home with them in their back pocket. They take home all the unkindness with them in their back pocket.
mhm,
Um, they just look on their TikTok comments, they look on their Instagram comments or whatever it might
mhm,
be, and they just see all the, insult after insult or the algorithm making them think that they're not pretty enough, they're not thin
mm,
enough, that they're not
mhm,
fit enough, making them feel like that they're just not enough. Every waking moment that they're looking and scrolling, it just continues to deteriorate. And so, like, the number one thing, don't be on social media. If your kid's having a problem with a specific platform, there's no shame in getting off that platform. And
mhm,
people are like, "Oh, but the bullies win if you do that." I'm like, "Those people want to pick on someone. They want to make someone's life miserable no matter
mhm.
what." When a pig gets
They'll move
dirty, it
on.
likes it.
Right.
They're gonna move on to another
To
target
another
anyway.
victim. Right, yeah, yeah.
And so if you don't wanna be their target, get out of their shooting range. Like,
Mhm,
go somewhere where you're not gonna have to put up with that toxicity. And
mhm,
if you have an 11 to, 15, 16-year-old, and the only reason why I say, like, 15, 16,
mhm.
17, 18, I do think it's okay to start giving your kids smartphones and social media because guess what? They're gonna have it
T
someday.
Right,
So
they're gonna deal with it at some point, so you
you
wanna
got you
yeah.
gotta teach them how to use it eventually, but, delay is the way. That is my
Mhm.
first and foremost thing is that you
Delay is
guys
the way.
don't flip and give them a smartphone with social media. Oh, but
Mhm.
they're still gonna say stuff about him. Yeah, they will, but guess what? They'll still feel good and be safe at home. That's
Right.
the most important part. When they leave the school, even if they're getting bullied relentlessly, whatever it might be, when they leave the school, they can be safe at home. That is the
Mm.
most important part, and that's my first bit of advice. Don't have your kids be on social media. This is the best way to not get bullied online. Don't be online.
Right, and so then at least they're so how so a kid, though, goes to school,
Mhm.
something's posted about them online, their
Mhm.
best friend comes up and says, "Hey, Jimmy posted this XYZ about you on
Mhm.
TikTok," or one of
Right.
right?
There's a lot
Mhm,
of things we need to be proactive against because there's a lot of scary people in the world. There's a lot of scary
right.
things in the world.
Mhm,
It has also never been a better time to be a human being.
Mm,
People are kinder than they have ever been before.
mm,
Kids in general are more accepting than they have ever been before. The world in general is a lot better place than it was 30 years ago.
You
But
think so? You think
I
so?
I do think so. I think 30 years ago, people viewed differences a lot worse than they view them now.
Hmm,
Right now,
interesting.
it's hipster and cool to have glasses.
Oh, right. That's true.
I would have
That's true.
gotten I got
There are
demolished
group
for having glasses.
right. There are groups you can now belong to a group. You can
You
find a
you
group.
can find belonging. You
Yeah.
can find kindness. The internet is not a great place. I'm talking about real life.
Right.
The world has never been kinder. And
Mm,
so while there's a lot of doom and gloom around trying to protect our kids,
mhm,
because in the act of protecting our kids, we take on all the darkness we're shielding them from. And so we
mhm,
feel like the world is just full of darkness.
mhm,
Our kids see light. To
mhm,
them, the world is only light because there's equally or more light than darkness.
mhm,
However much sunlight is needed to produce a shadow is so much more than the shadow that is produced.
mm.
Just because there's darkness in the world is actually proof that there's equal or more light.
Right.
So yeah,
Yep. Yes. If there was an overwhelming propensity of darkness, we would all freeze to death. Right?
yes, it would be,
Right.
yes, we'd be
There
gonzo.
right. There's enough light to keep the darkness at bay, right? Interesting stuff today. Well, what do we want to leave people with? Thank you for pulling me out of the hole of despair right there at the end where I was going to sell everything and turn Amish. What how do we want to wrap this today? What's your general I mean, and that was a good way to kind of I appreciate your perspective of the world based on the subject we were talking about. But kind of how do we want to leave this thing today? What wisdom do we want to impart here?
I just want people maybe get off your phones a little bit more,
Yep.
give a lot more hugs,
Mm,
and tell your kids that you love them every single day. Don't just leave it up to, oh, they know. Yeah, they know because you're gonna tell them today. You're gonna give them an 8-second hug. They're gonna whine about it for 8 long seconds, and then you're gonna say, "I love you so much, and I always will."
right.
That's what I wanna leave people with, that even though it's a hard world to parent in, you're doing a really good job, and you should give yourself more credit than you're giving yourself right now.
Mhm.
There's no manual for this, and
Mhm.
so you don't suck at parenting here. We're all learning here. We're all trying to do our best. But yeah, put your phone down a little bit more, give a little bit more hugs.
You have a podcast or you have yeah, what's your podcast?
So the podcast is the Save the Kids podcast. Our
Oh, perfect.
website is savethekids.org. And both of those have links to if you want us to come speak at your church, school, event, whatever it might be.
Mhm.
There's links for you to fill out there so we can come and bring our message to you.
Love it, love it, love it. Well, thank you for coming on today. Like I said, when we started the podcast, this isn't our normal topic. Yeah, I realize even more important than I had originally thought. Just because so many of us are navigating these things or will be navigating these things in the future, and so really glad that there's a resource out there like SaveTheKids.org to help support parents and people as they go through this process.
Yeah. Thanks so much for having me.
Nate, it's been wonderful. Feel free to let me know if you ever want to come back on. If something, if you do write a book, you're going to write a book. And when you write your book, Nate, I want to be the first podcast because it's so easy with AI now, right?
Oh
You
yeah.
just
Oh yeah.
you've got podcasts. Just have your podcast transcribed, and you're
Yeah.
going to have a book. That's all.
There we
That's
go.
that's it. You've probably had at least 12 episodes, so there's 12 chapters. You could just
There you
do
go.
right.
Yeah, yeah.
In fact, I want the foreword to be to my good friend Matt Lilly, who helped
All right.
inspire this book, right?
There we
And that
go. You heard it first here, guys. You
you
heard
heard
it
it
first
first.
here.
Nate's releasing a book in 3 months, called Save the Kids, and I think it'll be a bestseller. So please,
There we go.
please, I think I'm ready. I'm ready.
I appreciate that so much, man. Thank you for your kindness.
Thank you for being a part of the Brite Vibe podcast. For more information, go to britevibe.com. That's BRITE Vibe, VIBE.com. Thank you for listening.